Hello and welcome to our conversation around junior year and finishing up strong. My name is Autumn Kopians and I'm one of the counselors at Monarch. I work with students last names L through RN. And to start this evening, we wanted to start with a quote that I'll read aloud. If a college is a match rather than a prize, then there is plenty of time to find the right fit. All too often, students and parents are romanced by a name rather than looking for the best matches. In the end, the best fit should be what the student determines, and there should be several fits, not just one. If we do our jobs as counselors and parents, we trust students to make and assume ownership of their decisions. It then becomes our job to support their decisions and feel good about their accomplishments. And this is by Frank Sachs. And we start this evening with that just as we have this conversation, understand that juniors, it's all about you, what you want to do, where you want to be, where you want to go, and what the next step afterwards, and how parents and counselors can support you in that decision, and that the decision is ultimately yours. So for tonight's agenda, we're going to talk about the timeline between right now and graduation, so things that you need to keep in mind for the end of this year, looking into the summer, how we jump right into it in the fall, and then finishing out your senior year. Making sure that you feel prepared, that you feel confident about your senior schedule, know what you need to do over the summer, and then doing more exploration, so looking into the college search with Naviance, in-person and virtual college visits, and then also meeting with college representatives either this year or the start of next year or during the summer. So we have this up here. I'm sure by now as juniors you kind of have an idea about what the requirements are to graduate from BVSD. And so we will talk more with the juniors and about what they need and what they have left when we do registration starting February 16th through the 26th. So if you have any specific questions around that, you can find this information on the Mohai Counseling website under academic graduation requirements. It explains it a little bit further about what counts in what areas. The higher education admissions recommendations are generally used by most colleges as a standard for the minimum of what they're looking for admissions. So the biggest difference that we have with our high school graduation requirements and the HERE requirements are usually in the area of math and science. So we only need 2 years of math and science to graduate from BVSD, but you need 4 years of math typically in for most universities. And 3 years of science. So just things to keep in mind as you're looking at what you have, and even though it might meet graduation requirements, does it also meet those higher education recommendations as well? Knowing your options for after high school. So, there's the 4-year college or university route, going straight into your bachelor's degree. Maybe starting at a junior community college to be able to either save money or spend some time exploring what you actually want to go into. There's also several certificate programs at the community college level that you can earn and then go straight into work. Trade and technical school, so getting hands-on learning while learning a trade and getting the certification that you need to be able to practice and work in the world. Going into the military can help pay for education, and there's also lots of job opportunities within the military. That can be an option if that is a good fit for you. Understanding you can take a gap year, so that means taking a year off, whether it's through like a formalized program for a gap year, or whether that is just taking time to be able to work and save money before you start into your post-secondary education. Or you might decide that going to work straight out of high school is the best option for you, and figuring out what your options might be within that. If you plan to play sports after high school in a university, you just want to keep in mind that you will need a clearinghouse account. You can go to www.eligibilitycenter.org to help kind of start that, and you'll want to enter what credits you have taken so far to see if you have what you need for each division. Division 1 has more specific things than Division 2 or 3, so just knowing where you sit. If you have specific questions, you can talk to your counselor about making sure that you are NCAA eligible, especially for your senior year schedule. With that, you will need a clearinghouse account for your coaches to be able to access your transcripts. So this spring, you want to make sure that you are choosing strong courses for senior year. I know it seems really tempting to be able to have an easy senior year, but just know that colleges are going to look at your grades through your junior year, but senior year they also get to see what courses you're taking and if you're continuing that academic rigor that they will expect at their institution. So focusing on courses that you're confident in, that you'll do well, that shows your proficiency in a particular area if you're looking for that. Having a well-rounded schedule and shows your interests. Recognizing that you're still going to have to use writing and everything, so how are you portraying that with your schedule and how the classes that you're choosing. If you want to talk about possible changes to the request that you put in for next year, we can talk about that when we meet. And just knowing that you want to keep your grades up because this is the last chance to be able to show your GPA with these junior year grades. We'll be doing virtual one-on-one meetings with you if you would so like that. If you go to the Mohawk Counseling site, you can find our names and contact information with a link that goes directly to our calendars. There you can find a time that works best for you and your schedule, and we'll sit down and go over, kind of what your game plan is. Do you have the classes that you need? Any resources that we might be able to help you with to be able to get you the information that you need. So those will start happening as soon as you would like, as soon as you see this video. To be able to have that meeting, if you'll go into Naviance, under the About Me, there's a pre-junior interview survey that you'll want to fill out prior to our meeting, so we just have a little bit of background information. I'll go a little bit quicker. If you are interested in the Gap Year Fair, it is virtual this year, and it will be on Saturday, February 27th from 12 to 3. We can do some college research and visits. You should be doing that throughout this semester. And then on April 13th, you'll take the SAT. There's an optional essay sign-up that you can do up until February 16th. There should have been an email from Miss Stephanie Mann on January 20th, and I believe there was also one sent on February 10th. So if you didn't receive that email, then you should log onto your account to register. If you don't have an account, you can contact College Board. Also for this semester, you want to register for any additional college entrance exams that they might need. So different colleges have different requirements. After you take the April 13th SAT, your scores will determine kind of your testing future options. So you can take the ACT or you can take the SAT outside of Monarch, so in other places if you so choose. If you want to try to improve your score or any of that good stuff, you can look up on College Board or on actstudent.org to be able to schedule those. AP tests are usually from May 3rd to the 14th. Dates are still TBD at this point. Just know that there's a link on this PowerPoint that you can access for those specific test dates. SAT subject tests are no longer going to be offered due to changes at College Board and within the college entrance requirement. So you should not see this as a requirement for the institution in which you're applying for when you look on their admissions website, but just know that they will no longer be an option to sign up for as you go through.
Hi folks, Miss Sear here, and I'm going to talk to you about things that you should be considering for summer 2021. The summer is a great time to take on leadership opportunities, whether it is through work, community involvement, or even if you're looking at some leadership camps. Internships and work can provide you with a strong skill set and also experiences that maybe you can speak to during your college application process or just to be better prepared for college in general. Sports and other activities can help when it comes to your involvement. It can help when it comes to making sure that you have all of the character traits and the strengths that colleges are looking for. And summer is also a great time because you don't have other classes to really focus on test prep. If you're planning to take the SAT or ACT, that's a great time to possibly do some of your own test prep or take a class. Common App, which is the application form that many hundreds of colleges use, releases their essay prompts for each coming year during the summer. So generally in June, you'll be able to find out what the essay prompts are for the essays that you may be using if you are applying to Common App colleges. It's also a really nice time over the summer to do some college research, and if you are able to leave town and go to college visits, that's a great time to do that as well. Don't forget to maintain your list of colleges under your Colleges I'm Thinking About page. One, so that you don't forget about the ones that interest you, and two, because that list is something we use to then reach out to students about upcoming college visits or other scholarship opportunities. We base it off what you as a student have on your list. Now we know this summer may look a little different due to COVID. Our hope is that it doesn't, but if it does and you're not able to do some of these things, please understand the colleges are going to understand that. They are going to know that this is a very unusual time and you may not have been able to get an extra 50 hours of community service, or you weren't able to work the job that you were hoping to. So make the most of that summer, have grace with yourself, and also just try and find those things that will work for you. Maybe you can't do the type of volunteering you wanted, but you can spend more time doing something else like putting together your essays. When you go on a college visit, if you are able to do that this summer or even, in the fall or this spring, there are a lot of great things that you should consider doing. Again, back to the fact that COVID may make things a little bit different this year. You likely won't be able to, spend the night in the dorm. You may not be able to sit in a class. Even if that's the case where you can't even get on campus, either due to COVID or because you're not traveling, please know that colleges are going to have on their websites information that you would tend to normally get on a non-COVID year while visiting campus. So there may be a campus tour or interviews with students or professors. All of their websites are going to be a great resource, especially this year, because they know not everybody can get to them, and some of them frankly don't want visitors on campus at this point. In the fall, you're going to focus on those applications. So August tends to be the time when students are just getting back into the rhythm of high school, but come September, you should be focusing on those applications. We'll have a senior application night presentation that will walk you through the process of what you need to do when you're applying. Those are the things that we need from you here at Monarch, as well as a lot of general information for what your colleges are likely going to require you to do. You should be firming up your list of colleges under the Colleges I'm Applying to tab and making sure you're aware of all of their requirements. Some schools may require letters of recs, others may not want them at all, so it's important for you to check with each of those schools and what their requirements are. You'll request your transcripts so that we can send that information off to your colleges, and if you still are looking for additional colleges to possibly apply to, there will be likely the college fair, either in person or remote like it was this year. And then those college rep visits. Some we have in the post-grad center. Again, in the fall, we don't yet know what that will look like, but at least they would be virtual like they are this year, if not in person. And there are some all across the Denver metro area. Later in the fall, October through December, we're going to have some days to have you come down and get some help. Historically, we've offered coffee and snacks, and I'm hoping we can get back to doing that as well. Even if it's not one of those days, and even if it's not something that is as formal as that, your counselor and all of the counseling team is here to help support you. So come down at any point if you have any questions. The FAFSA opens on October 1st, so that's something to put on your to-do list. And just make sure that you submit all of your applications well before their deadline so that you don't have to stress about it and we can ensure everything gets where it needs to go. We have historically offered a financial aid night. It tends to be around the same time as the college fairs. If we're not able to offer it in person, we will, just like this year, provide you with resources to help walk you through the financial aid process. One great tool that you don't have to wait to use, but is definitely helpful in the fall, is every college has something called a net price calculator, and that is mandated by the government, where you can input your information about yourself, grades, as well as some information about your family's financial situation, pretty general stuff. It shouldn't take you a whole lot of time. And then it will give you an estimate for what that college believes your out-of-pocket costs would be to attend. Cost is an important part of the conversation when you're talking about college, so it's definitely a good thing to use. Another great thing to use is the Monarch Counseling website. So on the website, we have all sorts of resources for you to use throughout this process. You can see two important things here. The first is our school code. It is down here, 060130. That is the code that's used by colleges as well as like the testing organizations, ACT and SAT. And then at the top there, we've got a whole tab for post-secondary support. It's going to have college planning information, and it's a great starting point if you ever have questions or need any help. When we get to spring semester, we're going to be in 2022. Wow. In January, some colleges may require you to submit a mid-year transcript. Others won't, so just make sure that you're aware of what your colleges need. February, March, all the way through May, make sure you're doing your classwork. Colleges are going to see your final transcript. They want to see that you are working just as hard and being just as successful as you have been historically. So don't give up and don't slack. That senioritis does not help. In May, hopefully you'll have figured out where you're going and you'll update your choice in Naviance. Make sure that you're aware of deadlines, including paying the deposit for that college. Lots of them have a May 1st date, but yours, you should always check on their website. And then, hooray, we'll celebrate you at graduation. So we've covered a lot and there's still even more to go, and it can look like a huge messy process. Just where do I start? Where do I look? What do I do? So we're going to take some time here to try and help organize things and show you the tools to help organize things so that you see this is very manageable and it is something that you don't have to be nervous about. You just have to be excited about. So what I like to say to students is Naviance will be your best friend. Naviance is really what we as the high school use to help support students on their college search. How to get there is two different ways. One is through the Monarch High School website, and it's under the quick links. And then you can also get there through the BVSD portal. It's one of your images that you can look at and click on to get logged in. The neat thing about the portal is you don't even have to remember your password because it should just log you in automatically. If at some point you do forget your password though, you can email your counselor and we can reset that, both for students and for parents. Once you're in Naviance, it's going to be important that you make sure all of your information is accurate. Naviance is how we're going to communicate with you about upcoming events. It's also going to be something that we look at when we're trying to support you through the process. So make sure your email is up to date. Complete the required surveys and assessments. Those will be some that we do through our ICAP lessons and others that are specific to the college application process. And please, please remember this resume tool. The resume tool is a great place for you to store all of the information about the different things that you've done over the last 3.5, 4 years so that you can always come back to it. Every year students ask, I can't remember if I got this award or I'm not sure if I did whatever activity. We don't have a record of it in the counseling office, and so it's really important for you to make sure that you're keeping a record of all of your successes and achievements.
Hello, I am Ben Holloway, and I am the counselor for last names F through K here at Monarch High School. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about the college application process. So obviously, if you look at this link, you have a few to choose from in the United States, and you can also go worldwide. So every one of these red squares is a different college that you would have the opportunity to apply to, just the United States of America, some in Canada and Mexico, but all around the world. So just slide to let you know that your options are wide open as you move forward in this process, and you can kind of go wherever your heart takes you. So organizing your search, make sure that you're trying to match your personality with that of the school and not just go where other people go, make sure it's the one that's best fit for you. So what matters most to you? Do you care that there's 20 kids in every class and you can connect with your professor? Are you okay with having a 400-person lecture hall? Some people are fine with either way, and either way is fine. It's just know which one's best for you. Do you want to go to a school with huge school spirit, 40,000 people at a football game, or is that not for you and you don't really care about that? You care about other parts. So just make sure that as you're looking through this list of different things that might matter to you, you can also look through Naviance at which schools match those things for you. So that's one big step in the process, is figuring out which ones match best to you. So how are we going to go about looking up different schools? This is where you're going to start using Naviance a lot more than you probably already have, but the entire college process actually goes through Naviance, so it's good to get to know it. You'll see on this screen kind of a screenshot of the home Naviance page. If you click on colleges at the top here, you'll see the Find Your Fit, and you can find Supermatch. And the Supermatch college search is what we use to help. It's really, really beneficial search tool. And then the college visits is the other arrow here. Any upcoming college visits with representatives from the college will be listed here. We have a ton that happen every fall and some in the spring as well, but a ton in the fall. So keep an eye on this. They'll also be on our Monarch High Counseling website calendar as well. So Supermatch, like I said before, is the one we use a lot. There's also something called scattergrams. Scattergrams are a really good way to look at other students from Monarch High School that applied at each school that had similar GPAs and test scores to you, and there'll be a check mark or an X on whether they got accepted. So it kind of gives you an idea what your chances are of being accepted based just on the test scores of other students from the same high school. And this is a picture of that, what that would look like. So all of those green checks got accepted into this school, where all the red X's did not get accepted into the school. And the blue dots are current applications that do not have, they were either waitlisted, we don't know what happened, so we don't know if they got in or not. But as you look at the applications here, obviously the higher your GPA and the higher your test score, the more likely you already get into this school. This is American University. So each different school will have their own chart on Naviance that you can look at and kind of look like, hey, I have a 4.0 and a 1200. Find yourself on there, and you'll see yourself among a lot of green checks with a couple red X's. So just know you have a pretty good chance, but maybe you should up the application just a little bit. You can search for individual schools. When you're searching for those schools, you'll get an overview. It shows the approximate cost of going to the school, how many kids graduate in 4 years. You can get into the scattergrams from here. You can learn all about, this is a private school. It gives you the codes for the ACT and the SAT if you take it and want to have your score sent there, as well as the student-faculty ratios, the classroom sizes, and all of that information. It's pretty in-depth and thorough of the different stuff, and it also shows you when their deadlines are. So as you're looking at colleges you're thinking about, you can add them to your list in Naviance under the colleges I'm thinking about. To order transcripts and apply to schools as you get towards that part of the process senior year, you will need to move them to colleges I'm applying to. But this is a good place to kind of just put all the ones you're thinking about in one place, so it's easier to compare them to each other and kind of see how big of a list you've started. So to conclude, students, you need to make sure your email is up to date. And the information is accurate in your profile, because that's how you'll be getting information from us and colleges as well. Parents, if you don't have access, you can complete the form. We don't have an entrance table right now because we're doing this virtually. So you can just reach out to Jenny Dunlap, our counseling assistant, and she can help get you logged into Naviance and onto your...
Hey juniors, Mrs. Benish here. I am just going to go over a few more slides and then wrap things up for the evening. This slide here I wanted to keep up because, yes, it is from the past, right before the pandemic, but it shows you, in general, what a majority of the colleges look for in the applications. Now, we all know that a lot of schools are going test optional or don't require the standardized test, so you can just take that part out and see that, still your grades matter. The advanced AP courses you take matter, and then just push up maybe the teacher recommendations, or if your grades dipped because, during this pandemic, ask your counselor to write a letter to explain that a little bit more. different things like that. You just have to think outside the box a little bit. Maybe you had a teacher in your sophomore year. We usually suggest that students request letters from teachers in junior and senior year. But maybe you had a core teacher in your sophomore year who you really felt got to know you academically well, and you ask them for a letter. Those types of things. You just want to make sure that you cover every aspect of the application that's listed here and do so as best you can. Okay? And what I'm also trying to explain is this quote right here. If we admit them, what do we get? So that's an admissions rep asking that question. Okay, so you have to picture them sitting there with this huge stack of applications in front of them that they have to go through and decide who they're going to admit into their school. And in that application packet of yours, you are going to explain to them what they are going to get if they include you in their freshman class on their campus. So think of that and talk about it in every nook and cranny, everywhere you can in your application. And that's what you do, and then you submit, and then that's all the control you have over your application. The rest of it is up to what the colleges are looking for. Okay? You got to give that control up after you do the best you can with your application. I hope that makes sense. Now, this part is important to go through because I can't tell you how many times that the counselors have, we look at who has applied, who has completed applications, what seniors have done the process. And then we look at the ones who haven't yet, and we reach out to them and schedule meetings with them. And so many times, more than not, students are like, oh, this is all I had to do? Thank you so much. I got stuck and I froze because I didn't know the answer to this question, or I didn't know how to do that. And we're here to help you and guide you through that. And I promise you, if you ask us questions, we can help you through those places where you're stuck or where you freeze, because we've been doing this and we know how to lead you. Okay? Do not expect to know all the answers. You've never done this before. Let counselors help you through that. Okay, and these are just some additional reasons why you might get that frozen or stuck feeling. You just have so much on your plate. How can you add college applications on top of it? We get it. Again, we're here for you. Okay. This next slide is a great one that I always want to include, and also the bottom little link there, a little Goldbergs video. I don't know if any of you used to watch the Goldbergs, but it's a great video that shows parents letting go and letting their students choose their paths. One thing that we recommend is maybe scheduling as a family a time to sit down and talk about how's it going with your application process. Show us what you've been doing. And students, you give your parents that information at that time. As a parent, I know how hard it is not to check in with your student regularly. Oh, have you done this? Did you do that? Did you do that? Well, that can just blow up. And that's another reason why students can get stuck, is it's just too much. So scheduling a time when you know it's expected, students, you give all the information you have, and parents, you get to ask questions of your students, maybe that once a week on that Sunday morning, something like that. Okay? It's about letting go, but students, parents, they're still your parents, so they still get to have some play some part in this college application process. Okay? I hope that makes sense. So look at this. Once you've done all of the things that we just talked about and you've used all the tools that we have and you've asked us any questions, this is how it'll feel. Think about that messy room that we had at the beginning of the slides and how, well, for me, maybe not for some of you, but that would cause me a lot of stress. Can't find anything, can't even walk in my room. And now, once you use all the tools, you can find your bed and actually, go to bed and relax at night. And so hopefully that's how it will feel for you when you're done with the application process with the supports that we explained. This is just some information about upcoming events. Okay, so go ahead and click on these links so that you can find out about, like it lists here, the Gap Year Fair and any kind of college fairs that are coming up. Okay? Well, that's all we have for tonight, and I hope that you take advantage of, I think it was Ms. Kopians who talked about college or the junior meetings that we are offering here for the next month. So go ahead and click on our Calendly link, sign up for meetings, and Have a wonderful evening. Thanks so much, everyone.